All right, guys, so it's not very often when a company reaches out to me with a piece of tech that I haven't tried. And here we have the Air Pro 2s by XReal, formerly known as XReal. They just did a name change, I guess, to match what their brand is doing. And guys, these are 1080p mini OLED displays, 120 hertz with 500 nits of brightness. And this display connects to anything from your Steam Deck to your consoles, to your Nintendo Switch, to your MacBook Pro, or your computer if you have USB out. And this looks really cool. In fact, my favorite feature, I'll show you right here real fast. Well, there it is. You can see the display on my screen, right? And I'm actually plugged into my phone. And what's crazy is I can still see the room, but I can see the display perfectly with amazing colors. But if you hit the photochromatic button, 33% darker, 100%. And that is impressive. The fact that you can do that, and they have that feature available in the glasses, is probably my favorite feature. But let's get into the rest of the specs. Now, some of you guys may know that my primary job is to be an air traffic controller with the orange wands guiding planes in and out of Tampa Airport. But aside from that, I love to create content and I don't have a lot of time for gaming. So one of the best ways I've found to use these glasses is with my Steam Deck. And I'll tell you what, that's kind of where I sneak in all my game time. And instead of using either the projector or having to break my neck looking down, I can lay in my bed comfortably wearing these glasses connected to the Steam Deck. And I have a massive display, a private display, and I could just play and have fun. So that's probably been my biggest use for these glasses. Let's talk about comfort, guys. So Quest 3 glasses weigh 971 grams, which is going to sound crazy. And these Meta AR glasses, which I'm going to have a review eventually on these coming up soon. I bought these and they're amazing. These weigh 51 grams, which is not bad. But the Air Pro 2s only weigh 78 grams. It's extremely wearable when you consider the fact I can rock the Quest 3 Pro headset all day long for a flight session and it doesn't bother me at all. It's very comfortable, and they focus on making these glasses very comfortable as well. So the display on these are mini OLEDs by Sony, which have a 1080p display per eye with 120 hertz refresh rate at 500 nits brightness. But when you use the Beam Pro, which I'll talk about that here in just a bit, it only has a 90 hertz refresh rate, which is still really good. Now you're going to find that these are very portable, lightweight, compact, and actually evenly balanced. They have a very 1-to-1 weight ratio. And seeing the co-founder of the company, he was talking about that. They focused on moving some of the weight to the back. The adjustability on the arms for these is super impressive. The fact that you have the 3 different mounts or the bridge attachments for the nose really allows you to pick the right height. And they really call them pillows, man. I'm telling you, like when you try this on for comfort, if that's one of those things you're like, well, is that even comfortable? I'm not going to want to wear that. I'll tell you what, I almost bought a Steam OLED, but now that I have this, I literally do not want a Steam OLED because I would plug in my Steam OLED to this to have a massive screen. So that to me is the best part about this. The fact that you have that USB-C compatibility plugs into your iPhones, your Androids, your consoles, your laptops, and you can really use it a lot. In fact, my favorite part about this is using this specifically at night when I jump in bed and I finally get to get some game time in with the Steam Deck, because as a content creator and air traffic controller, I don't have a lot of time to spend in front of my computer. In fact, I typically come here to either fly on the sim pit, maybe edit some videos, but I love handheld gaming on the Steam Deck. It really allows me to get into games I typically avoid. Now, that other part is the electrochromatic dimming that has a 3 adjustable lens opacities that really does help control the light exposure. Now, this really helps make the glasses usable in different lighting conditions when it comes to, you being out in public. Now, I don't think you're going to sit at the park using these, but you can definitely sit on a plane, on a bus, in a car. In fact, I got to use these on the 3-hour drive that we had from the airport in Phoenix all the way to the Grand Canyon, and it was actually pretty good. Now, as far as the audio, I was surprised with the directional audio that comes from these headphones. It's actually very similar to the Meta AR glasses, and I was surprised how good the Meta AR glasses audio was. And these actually aim right at your ears. It's kind of how the Quest 3 or the Quest 2 audio is. It's directional. It doesn't have speakers over your ears, but it sounds surprisingly good. In fact, it's punchy with a little bit of bass. Now, I did find that on the airplane, it wasn't sufficient to drown out the noise, but that was expected. But I had at that point Bluetooth headphones and it worked out great. But anywhere else that's not on an airplane or some super loud environment where you have 2 turbine jet engines running next to you, the audio is going to be more than adequate. In fact, people around you aren't really going to be able to tell what you're listening to directly. It's very interesting because they might be able to hear a little chatter, but they can't exactly tell what it is. And if you put it low enough, like they're not even going to hear it at all. Now, look, this is definitely the Gen 2 version, right? So I did not get to try the Gen 1, but I did do some research because I figured the Gen 1 had some issues. And like any company, XReal has been working to improve the product. And the biggest things that I found is that this is roughly 25% lighter. It's brighter. The mini display is better, and you have better darkening on the panels. And also they did a couple of things to kind of make the headset look better and also be more evenly balanced. Again, their focus was, we want this to be comfortable. And from my understanding, they're actually the leading market share holder of this product, roughly having about 50% of the market with the other companies out there, which is actually pretty impressive. So one of the cons, guys, is the fact that there's no battery, and that kind of ties into the fact that there's a cable. Now, that's actually kind of a pro, because the fact that we have a cable allows it to be so versatile, connecting to all these pieces of hardware with one universal USB-C cable. And it's kind of neat just walking around the house, seeing what I could plug this into, and it actually just works. But again, this does not have a battery. And let's be honest, I don't want a battery on this. That's going to mean it's going to have a lower brightness display, right? It's not going to be 500 nits. It's not going to have the same audio quality that it does. It's not going to have 120 hertz refresh rate. In fact, a lot of times when we have our massive VR headsets, they have their own power supply connected to the wall so they can push 90 hertz on a VR headset. So I'll tell you what, I don't mind the cable that much, and this con is kind of like pro. Now, something that might be a con that you might consider is the 46-degree field of view. When everywhere in VR, we're talking about, hey, we want, 100 degrees, we want 110, we're talking about 46, which is a smaller slice of the pie. But it's one of these things that you don't really notice. Like if I was to not tell you what the degree of the field of view was, I'd kind of be curious what people would say. But it's not something that you're going to sit here and look and be like, hey, man, like this is, super terrible. Now, I would like to see it increase with the Beam Pro. When I plug it in, I do notice that it does reduce quite a bit, but this offers so many cool features on it, especially access to the entire Google Play Store, which almost makes it okay for me. But I kind of enjoy plugging it into my iPhone, in which I'm able to get a massive display, which doesn't feel like it's cropped in as much as it does on the Beam Pro. Now, another con is going to be the price. While I believe they might be running a sale, depending when you're watching this, and even depending on Black Friday, the typical selling price for this is $450 with the photochromatic dimming. If you choose the Air Pro 2s, if you choose the XReal Air 2s that aren't the Pros, you don't get the photochromatic dimming, but with the Air Pro 2s, you do get that, so for about roughly $50 more. Now, I believe they might have it on sale for $399, which is actually pretty good, so consider that. But $450 is a bit of a steep price for strictly displays. Now, again, you have portable mini OLED 1080p panels, which if you watch 4K content on 1080p, it looks almost 4K. It's almost like upscaling in a sense that you're watching a higher quality video at a lower resolution on your display. It looks crisp. Like I almost had a hard time telling it wasn't 4K. So guys, I had actually one issue on my favorite game on the Steam Deck, which was Starfield. And when it was using a lot of power, it seemed to just turn off the display out to the headset. Now, any other game that I played on there did not do this. It was only Starfield. It might have been a bug with the software, but I was able to solve that. And a second problem with the USB-C hub, which this does two things. You plug this into your console and it has one output that goes to your glasses and the other output actually goes to a charger. So at that point, I was able to lay in bed and pretty much have infinite battery power and not have to worry about it while playing on a massively bright display, which you actually have to lower the brightness because it's so dark when you're playing at night. But I don't know why I was having that issue. And I did have maybe once or twice during my time with the Steam Deck where the screen froze up and it turned into kind of some pixel colors. And as soon as I unplugged it, plugged it back in, it went away. And again, I only saw that twice. I did share that with the XReal team and they said it was a very isolated incident. And I have to agree. Again, it only happened twice at the very beginning, and we've had some updates to the software on both the Beam Pro and then the Steam Deck, and I haven't seen it yet. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint where that was happening, but it only happened with the Steam Deck. And again, it might have been Starfield. Starfield's so buggy, it's causing issues everywhere. But I did not experience that with any other game on the Steam Deck, which was interesting. So again, I just want to be honest with that, right? It wasn't like this super perfect experience. And again, no tech really is, but I don't want somebody to grab the headset and then try to plug it in, play Starfield and bump into that without me sharing that. But with that being said, this was totally worth it. And it helps solve the issue of having battery being drained from my Steam Deck or any other unit. All right, guys, so let's talk about the Beam Pro and what it is and what it's not. So it's actually not a cell phone, although it does look like a cell phone. It has two cameras, which are spaced in a very unique way, and also has two USB-C ports, which allow you to have power in and video out with fast charging with 27 watts. And these two cameras allow for the spatial recording. Now, you say, what spatial recording? So if you put on these glasses after you record a video with this and you watch them, it is the most 3D coolest video you've ever seen of your own footage, which typically we're used to seeing 3D movies and 3D content. But seeing your own items, you know, your own house, your family, your dogs, your kids, your memories in that spatial AR environment is actually really, really cool. Now, this really does allow for a good level of multitasking because you can have multiple displays, and it's essentially a spatial computing AR companion in the sense that you use this and you can pull up different windows and it kind of locks them into place, and you have the Google Play Store accessible to you straight out of the box. So once you run your updates, once you log in, create your account, you have access to the entire Google Store library. So if you are heavily invested on the Android system and the Android apps, and you have a lot of programs there, I think you're really going to take advantage of this. Now, also, if you do get sick easily, let's say when you put on the glasses, the image kind of follows your head wherever you go. So if you sneeze, the display's there. In fact, once or twice playing on the Steam Deck, I actually turned my head to look because the screen is so big, I naturally want to look in that direction. And this actually does a couple things because it'll do one of two things. It'll either lock the image into place or it will actually slowly move the display. So for example, if you want to lay down on your bed and you're laying on your side and then you want to roll over or lay back and look at the image up in the ceiling, so to speak, you're really going to find that it just kind of floats in a very delayed reaction, but it kind of just holds it nice and steady. And I read online some people that get sick really appreciate that feature. So finally, the spatial recording on this, guys, is the coolest thing ever. Having those 3D videos is really unique. Now, I would wish that these were actually not 1080p at 60. I really wish they were 4K at 60, but this is only, I believe, $199 on the price, or give or take. So it's not too expensive. So for what it is, I think it's pretty neat. If they had to put 4K cameras in there and sensors, the price wouldn't be as low as it is. So having this ability to throw in a micro SD card on here, have your Android games, have an entire, you know, emulator collection on here is honestly really cool. And the endless possibilities of this are huge. So you can have a lot of fun with this device. Now, the Beam Pro does have a 4,870 milliamp battery, which is roughly around 3.5 hours of use. And it does support 27 watt fast charging, like I said earlier. And the biggest place that I got to use this was during the wireless game streaming with the Xbox Cloud, an Xbox controller, and the Beam Pro, which is super, super cool. The fact that you have a mobile setup just like that, specifically dedicated to cloud gaming. So if you have fast Wi-Fi and you have the ability to plug this in, you're going to be set for some serious mobile gaming with an Xbox controller and not even need a Steam Deck. Now, one of the biggest downsides to me was the fact that if you really want to take advantage of the AR aspect of this, you're going to need the Beam Pro. The glasses, again, they're just a beautiful display, very crisp, very sharp, you know, high refresh rate. And that display is great, but if you want to have that AR aspect to this whole device, you're going to need the Beam Pro. And I think this is roughly $199 on the price. And that also is going to be why we don't have 4K cameras on here, right? If they threw 4K cameras on there, we'd have to pay a little bit more. So they're 1080p 60, which is good, but I love my 4K footage. In fact, everything I shoot is 4K. So I think I definitely would have appreciated that. Now, another possible downside is if you do wear prescription lenses, you're going to have to get the custom inserts. Now, the good thing is they do support them. The downside is you're likely going to have to get them to be able to kind of use this properly and have that clarity as everyone else does. Now, guys, I did skip the first gen of these glasses, and I'm super grateful that XReal decided to reach out and send these to me. These are super cool. I love the fact that I was able to use them a lot on my trip. It was a perfect environment. I used them on the plane, at the hotel, in the lobby, and even showing them to my coworkers. Everyone's blown away at how crisp these images look, especially when you show a cinematic 4K video from the iPhone 15 Pro. People are actually blown away by these. Now, I plan to use these mainly with the Steam Deck. Using these late at night, not having an OLED Steam Deck, this is my OLED panel. So huge shout out to XReal for sending these out. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys want to know more, there's going to be links down in the description below. Feel free to check those out. And if you have any questions, please put them down there. I'll be answering every single comment that I get. So catch you guys next time. Peace out.